Hey, what's up everybody? It's Dragos from Strong Dragon Training, and it's an absolutely beautiful day today for a little lesson on shoulders, okay? So, if you've seen one of my last videos when I showed you guys a little bit of a superset for triceps and rear delts, you might remember that I mentioned that when you're working your shoulders, aka your deltoid muscles, you do have, so they are anatomically separated into anterior, mid, and posterior, right? So front, middle, and back. However, it doesn't mean that if you're directly targeting the anterior deltoid with maybe shoulder presses or military presses or whatever, that doesn't mean that the other two groups of deltoids don't activate. All of them activate, is just the amount of the activation that each gets. So when you're doing things like, for example, even chest presses, yes, you're mainly targeting the chest, but secondary muscle is the anterior deltoid, okay? And with that said, the other deltoids, the mid and the posterior, activate to stabilize. Otherwise, you're gonna pull your joint right out of that socket if just one end of the deltoid activate. All right, so 3 exercises I'm gonna show you guys today, one for each head group, that are the most popular out there and people do them the most. The first one is going to be dumbbell shoulder press. Second one is going to be standing lateral raises. And the third one is going to be bent over reverse flies. So let's first check the shoulder presses, the dumbbell shoulder press. This version of the shoulder press is sitting down. As you can see, my back is fully straight, feet flat on the floor, going as deep as possible with the dumbbells and then stretching them out all the way to the top, but not locking out the elbows, almost trying to touch the ceiling with the dumbbells. In this version, I'm standing up, my back is still straight, and you have the option of putting one foot back if you feel like your lower back is curving. You can put either foot back, it will not make a difference, but this is just to prevent your back from curving and putting too much pressure on your spine. Alright, you get the idea of that one? You've probably seen it before. It's a very common exercise. A lot of people do it. It's a favorite for strengthening that anterior head of the deltoids. It can be done either sitting or standing, so there's variations to this one. Obviously it can be done with a bar, those are called military presses. But when you go on these ones, as you saw in the video, ideally you are trying to hit, as I mentioned in previous videos before, you are trying to hit those muscle fibers of the targeted muscle as much as possible. So you always try to go as deep as possible. You want to get that stretch into the fibers. When you're coming up, you want to get that squeeze. So pushing up, it's almost like you want to put in your head, I want to squeeze and push it through the ceiling, right? Touch the ceiling with these dumbbells. Go deep till you feel a stretch, push in through the ceiling. In this video, you saw I met them at the top, right? I met the dumbbells together at the top. That's not compulsory. If you read some books when it comes to exercise physiology and things like that, they would even mention that it is better if you keep the dumbbells separated, okay? So there's, some people say one thing, some people say another thing. When I press them, I feel differently when I hit them together, so I feel more of a squeeze in my deltoids than when I keep them separated. So I try to incorporate both of them during my my workout, so it's always a good idea to do both of them. But it's not necessarily doing it wrong if you keep the dumbbells separated at the top or you keep them together. All right, you're still targeting the muscle, and as long as you keep control and you stretch and flex at the top, you are hitting the anterior deltoid perfectly. Now, weight, I don't think we need to get too much into that. You know, depending on your goals, the lighter the weight, the higher repetitions. You know, you tone, you sculpt, heavier weight, building muscles. Now, there's a little bit of a note that I want to put here, because some of you might look online and when you see bodybuilders, you know, either Ronnie Coleman or Arnold or anybody like that, some of them only go to 90 degrees and press it up. They don't go as deep as you see me go into my videos, right? And I don't go as deep either when I put in more weight on it. So when you're trying to build a little bit more of a muscle, if you notice right at the elbows of these bodybuilders, they go just below 90 degrees. Just below 90 degrees. You get just enough stretch of the muscle so that when you come back up, you can get that full squeeze. So it's almost you keep pressure on the deltoid muscle in order to promote that hypertrophy. Okay, so it's not wrong if you don't go way below 90 degrees for that full stretch, but just remember that that is mainly a technique used when you're trying to build a mass in the muscle. So you're forcing that muscle, you're forcing blood, you're forcing lactic acid building that muscle because the weight is heavy. You're keeping it just a little bit of stretch so you get those fibers incorporated, but you don't get them so super stretched to elongate the muscle so much that you don't create that build, that thickness, that muscle belly into it, right? So when you see that on other YouTube channels of bodybuilders do that, just remember that's what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to build the mass, and even those guys when they're in show prep, in the season, the show prep season, they will do both. You'll see them go nice and deep, stretch that muscle, and really put the emphasis, okay? But mainly the stretching, as I've described it just to you guys, is for the lighter weights. The repetition where you do 15 or 20 or 25, not when you do 7 or 10, okay? Second exercise, the lateral raises.
This is the version of the lateral raises standing. As you can see, my feet are together flat on the floor, and I try not to rock my body back and forth. Lift the dumbbells shoulder height and keep the core very, very tight again to prevent that back and forth movement.
All right, we got the gist of that one. Again, these ones can be done sitting or standing. Really, when you do them sitting, it is a little bit harder because you don't have that ability to put that swing into them, right? Even some people unknowingly do a little bit of swing to them to get those dumbbells up, and they get away with a little bit more weight. What you're trying to do is you're trying to isolate everything from biceps, triceps, and brachioradialis, all of them to work as minimally as possible and to put most of that emphasis on the mid-deltoid, all right? When you lift these ones up, ideally, and for now, basic idea is do not get them higher than shoulder height. So when you lift them sideways, keep them at shoulder level, okay? When you go above that, you incorporate traps, you incorporate all these other muscles that you don't need to worry about right now. Elbows have to be straight. Now be careful, straight, not locked out. You know my pet peeve about locking out a joint. I never want to see a joint locking out, even if it is quote unquote safer. It's never safer or safe. You want to keep that joint unlocked, keep it nice and tight, and make sure that it's everything within that joint, ligaments, tendons, everything is safe, okay? Bring them next to your thighs, push them up to the side. Now, there's a little bit of variation that you might see some people do that, and I'm going to show you in this next video.
This version of lateral raises accomplishes the same thing, hitting your mid-deltoid, but as you can see, the movement is strictly from the hips. My back doesn't bend, and I always come back to a fully straight and erect position. It is mainly useful if your dumbbells are a little bit heavy, as it allows you for that little bit of momentum movement.
So you notice how on this one, I'm bringing the dumbbells to the front. I'm bending a little bit forward, and I'm straightening up again as I'm lifting them up to the side. This thing gets you in a little bit more of a safer momentum. You can get away with a little bit more weight. It's not as isolated as the first one that I showed you. So when you bend forward, make sure this one you don't bend from your lower back. So do not curve your lower back when you do these ones. Keep the bend just from the hips and just a little bit of bend forward to allow the dumbbells to come in front of you, okay? When you come up, you gotta straighten up everything and get that isolation back into your mid delts. Otherwise, you're gonna include the posterior delts way too much. So bend forward just a little bit and lift them up sideways. Now again, what you're trying to prevent on that one is throwing them up. You don't want to throw them up. This technique offers a little bit of momentum so that you can get a little heavier weights up, but that doesn't mean you swing them up and go nuts on them. Yank your shoulder out of its socket. A variation on this one, again, you look at some videos, you may see bodybuilders with their elbows almost fully bent, right? Or you see people purposely doing with lighter weight a 90-degree bend at the elbow. Variations. You're still hitting the same muscle, but what people find is if you, in your gym, you may or may not have a machine that is dedicated for mid-delts that allows you to grab these handles in the front, put this part of your arm against a pad, and then you lift sideways. That machine allows you less work from your biceps and triceps and brachioradialis, so you almost completely ignore those out of the picture. You can't fully ignore them, but you almost completely ignore them. They still activate, but very little, and you put more emphasis on the mid deltoid, and you have more power from that position, as opposed to when you have this huge lever of your arm extended out and you try to lift the weight up. So in some cases, it is better when your arm is at 90 degrees, right? You have a little bit more power, a little bit more leverage into it. However, you do have to be careful with these ones, as people tend to go a little bit overboard because they find that they have more power and they put more weight, and then they start literally dancing on that chair, pushing back and forth because it's getting way too hard to lift, and then they start kicking in shoulder, their chest, back, biceps, everything, even their legs start kicking into the whole exercise, so you get more of a leg workout than shoulders. So be careful with that one. Yes, pick the weight properly, but pick it enough so you still feel your deltoids. Now back to the dumbbells, and when you watch bodybuilders do this exercise, again, they're looking for thickness. So you see them again barely lifting them up, almost getting to shoulder height, but they don't really get to that shoulder height level, and their elbows are bent and they're trying to lift it up, and you see them leaning back and forth. Even that leaning back and forth is controlled. Their core is tight, everything is put together, and just it's a movement that helps them get 120 pounds per arm up, which, believe it or not, it's a lot when you're talking about this little muscle over here. So they're getting that thing up to build the thickness of the muscle. And yes, they are using a little bit of momentum, and they are using other muscles like their anterior, their posterior delts, their biceps, their triceps, to kick in just a little bit to get that weight up, right? Their shoulder still activates, they're still careful about that, but they put all of these different techniques in there to be able to lift heavier weight and get that thickness out of the muscle. And again, they don't lift it up all the way. It's the same concept as what I said in the shoulder presses, they don't go that deep. They start just below 90 and they push all the way up to the ceiling. But do be careful on that one. So if you are looking for muscle build, don't go crazy. Don't lift more than you are comfortable with. If you're having trouble holding on to the dumbbells next to you, then you have no business trying to lateral raise those dumbbells. Be careful with the weight, because it is a very relatively isolated exercise for your shoulder, and you can injure your shoulder just like that and you'll be out, okay? Most of the movement, chest, back, arms, anything will involve the shoulder to some degree, either moving or activating to stabilize, and once that thing is pulled, torn or whatever, you are out of the gym for upper body for quite a while. So do be careful on that one, please, please, please. Keep it with the videos that I've shown you guys. That's a great way, especially if you're a beginner. It's the first video that I've shown you. Keep everything controlled, keep that core tight, keep the body from swinging back and forth, and just be on top of the technique and the movement altogether. Third exercise, the bent over reverse flies. Let's check them out first.
The biggest concern on this version of reverse flies is not bending your lower back or any portion of your spine whatsoever. Trick is always look upwards, keep your face forward, eyes forward, and now automatically keep your back nice and straight. The bend needs to happen at the hips and not in your lower back. Prevent any kind of damage by doing this.
All right, beautiful, beautiful exercise. Bent over, again, you can do them standing or sitting. Here's the sitting version of it.
This version of the reverse flies accomplishes exactly the same thing as the standing version, aka hitting your posterior deltoids. As you can see, again, the lower back needs to stay very straight, the feet a little bit forward so the dumbbells can go underneath your legs and behind your feet. Do not bend your back, keep the bend right from the hip.
So you got the gist of both of them. You're aiming to target the rear or the posterior deltoid. You're trying to isolate that one. Again, all the other heads activate, but this one activates the most. When you're bent forward like that, check out my back. Look how straight it is. I'm always looking forward into the mirror. As a rule of thumb, every time your body is in the bent forward position or it involves your back having to be bent forward from the hips, not from the lower back, please be careful. I've seen numerous cases in the past where people bend over, but bend over from their lower backs. They have this huge curve in the lower back, which is it's a recipe for damage. You will damage that lower back beyond belief. So please be careful with that one. The bend is from the hips. Your back is straight like a piece of wood, right? It has to be straight. You bend from the hips, you keep control, and what I found is if you look up towards the front, the mirror, look yourself in the mirror, that will automatically keep your back straight, right? The moment you look down, you'll be tempted to curve your back as well. So I tap the dumbbells at the bottom. I lift them up to the shoulder, to the height of the shoulder or the height of your back. Coming back down, control, both ways control. My core is activated, everything is control. Knees slightly bent. I prefer feet together. Keep everything together. When you're sitting down, again, your feet need to be a little bit forward because you need that movement. You can't stop with the forearms into your legs and then lift them sideways. So you gotta come right underneath or in between your legs, or however you want to put that one, and lift them out sideways. Again, the same idea, shoulder high, control, core tight, and everything. This one, sitting down, I find there's a little bit more control, so I don't have to activate my core as much as when I'm standing, as it is in most exercises. But for this one, I find it a little bit more, if you're not flexible, you're gonna have a more difficult time with this one. So your shoulders, your legs, your hamstrings, they're a little bit tight. You're gonna have a hell of a time with this one to get the movement happening. So legs forward, still look up. That doesn't mean that if you're sitting down, your back can curve right now. You're still having weight in your hands. Back straight, look up, complete the movement. Keep it fluid, keep it smooth, and just keep on going with that one. Moving on to the variation, the bodybuilder variation. Most of the bodybuilders you see on for this exercise will do them again with the elbows bent. You saw in my video, my elbows were straight but not locked out, right? The straighter they are, the more emphasis you put on the delt, but you don't want to lock that tricep out. Again, ligaments, joints, and everything like that, never locked out. But with bodybuilders, you see them again, they're lifting it, they're barely lifting it up, and they move a little bit from the hips. Even that movement, if you're trying to do that, if you're more advanced, trying to do it, do not move from your spine, from the hips. That's the little bit of momentum that you're allowed to do to be able to get that weight up if it's so super heavy. But again, you're a beginner, to me, stay away from super heavy in these isolated movements because you will damage a joint or your back or something. So please be careful. So when they do that, again, they're looking for thickness. They're bringing them down away to the bottom, lifting them up, and then coming back down. Boom, boom, boom. Again, they're not going up as high, but they are activating the muscle. The burn is still in the muscle. They get that muscle belly up. Another variation of this one you'll see, again, more in the bodybuilder world, is they have the bench, the incline bench put up, face down the bench, chin at the top, and then the dumbbells are hanging, arms straight, and then they do the movement with a much straighter arm. Again, that lift is even less because, again, you have 90, 100, 110 pounds lifting up side to side, and that's a tremendous load for such a small muscle. So they still lift it up, the muscle still burns, it still grows, but it's a very, very dangerous move. So please stay away from that. If you see in the video, let Ronnie Coleman do that, let Arnold do that. Don't do it yourself, especially if you're a beginner intermediate. Keep it with the videos that I've showed you. Keep that back straight, keep the core tight, and just make sure that all the exercises are safe. You're looking for safety, and then down the road, as you get more of an expert on it, you get more of a feel how your body works and know when something hurts or something is out of place. You know how to correct right away. That's when you'll be able to do a bodybuilder's move. So please be safe in a gym. Having said all that, I do hope that this video made sense and I gave you guys a good idea of how these three exercises are done. Of course, there are many more others. You can vary these ones. You can twist your wrists. You do tons and tons of things. But these ones are the basic movements that you will see most people in the gym do, and most people do them incorrectly. So please be careful on those ones. If you have any questions, if you are not sure about something I said, please leave a message in the description below. Ask me in 24 hours. I'll get back to you guys with either just a straight text answer or I'll make another video. I don't mind. I will answer your questions. I just want you guys to be safe into the in the gym, and try them out. Of course, please try them out if you haven't already. If you're a beginner, try them out and let me know how they go. How'd you feel? Did you feel the right muscle? Did something else activate? Are you wondering why did your lower back activate, or why did your upper back activate when you do that? Put those questions in. I love to get these questions. I love to keep on discussing with you guys and kind of discover what's happening with your body and what you're doing incorrectly. Maybe you have some imbalances in your body. Who knows? But we can dissect that and find the core of the problem so we can correct and get the movement right and going. So again, follow us, please, like and subscribe, hit that bell so you get more videos like these. I try to post them as regular as possible. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. All of those will come right at the end of this video. With my website, www.thestrongdragon.com is up. The newsletter is going. The Brain Food one's a free newsletter. Just put in your email there on the weekly basis. You're going to get different topics with a nice detailed explanation. A couple of pages there so you get your brain working, not just your muscles, okay? I will see you guys on my next video. Again, like and subscribe and stay safe in the gym, okay?
Thank you for watching our video. For more and to keep up with our postings, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you'd like to receive free newsletters, we call them Brain Food. Sign up to our website, www.thestrongdragon.com, and on a weekly basis, you will receive these newsletters completely free with a very detailed information about different topics for that week.